Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Prime Minister Alan Chastanet made the case for the 3-month extension of the current state of emergency in Parliament on Tuesday. He outlined the existing challenges of the COVID-19 fight and the continued fluid situation that he believes necessitates the government having the ability to react quickly to changing scenarios. On the other hand, the opposition says the state of emergency, that should be the extension of the state of emergency, is a cover-up for more devious motives. Prime Minister Alan Chastanet told Parliament on Tuesday that the successive efforts to contain COVID-19 had much to do with the declaration of a state of emergency in March. He stated that despite St. Lucia's success in keeping the number of cases low, it is envisaged that the country, like the rest of the world, will experience recurring waves of the virus as it delicately lifts and adjusts where necessary the public health and social measures that were implemented to contain and reduce transmission. In Parliament on Tuesday, the Prime Minister made the case for the 3-month extension of the state of emergency.
By extending the state of emergency, this will allow for the competent authority to act with the immediate dispatch on the advisement of our health officials, resulting in the need to declare operational necessary measures. As a result, Mr. Speaker, this further extension of the state of emergency is being sought to facilitate a quick response if another outbreak of COVID-19 occurs. This extension will also permit the continuance of the assistance provided by the Cuban medical team, who is authorized to work only during the state of emergency.
The Prime Minister sought to reassure the public that the government will consistently scrutinize the situation and its performance with a view to reducing the time frame if positive trends continue with the COVID-19 fight. But opposition MP Moses Jabatis says an extension of the state of emergency under this Prime Minister is a frightening thing.
I oppose the state of emergency because I believe it is a cover-up for the high-handed state actions of the Prime Minister and his cabinet. Mr. Speaker, over the last few months, this Prime Minister in the state of St. Lucia has exhibited a diabolical, frightening, heart-shaking attitude that begins to unleash his mind and his attitude towards the people of St. Lucia. You hear, Mr. Speaker, his utterances in the public domain, and during the state of emergency, you hear the Prime Minister telling public servants and their organizations to stop it. You can't tell the government how to run its business. That colonialism had a conscience. Mr. Speaker, when you hear that during a state of emergency, that alone, Mr. Speaker, that alone should cause this Prime Minister to lose his prime ministership in St. Lucia, a country like St. Lucia, Mr. Speaker. That alone.
The state of emergency will run until the 30th of September. Prime Minister Alan Chastanet remains tight-lipped as to who gave the go-ahead to demolish the old Royal Jail. The Prime Minister on Tuesday would only speak to how thrilled he is to have work commence on the new headquarters and the halls of justice. On the other hand, elected member of the St. Lucia National Trust, Calix George Jr., says the refusal on the part of the government to indicate who orchestrated the demolition is a cowardly act.
Prime Minister Alan Chastanet refused to answer any questions relating to who gave the go-ahead for the demolition of the Royal Jail on Saturday. Media personnel repeatedly posed questions to the Prime Minister. However, his responses remained evasive as he simply indicated that he was thrilled to have the process of the building of the Halls of Justice begin.
As I said, I'm very happy that we're going to be moving into the new facilities. This is a plan that's been afoot for a very long time. and I'm looking forward to seeing the project start as quickly as possible.
Prime Minister Shasney did, however, make the point that there was no issue negotiating in bad faith with the National Trust, as the proposed agreement made allowances for the government to go ahead with the decisions that were taken.
Well, if I remember the written agreement very well, the last part of the agreement says that the government reserves the right to be able to act unilaterally. And so therefore, every due consideration was given with regards to the building, and the decision was to move ahead.
Elected council member of the St. Lucia National Trust, Calix George Jr., however, indicated that the Prime Minister's refusal to answer shows a lack of courage on the part of the government to admit or accept they were in the wrong.
Well, that is a move of cowardice. I think the government is clearly cowardly, acting because they know that their act was reprehensible. They know that it was devious. There was absolutely no notice given. There was no public notice, nor was there any notice given to the St. Lucia National Trust with respect to this matter. It went clearly against its word, which in my opinion suggests that the credit rating of the government is junk right now. It's at junk status. And I'm saying so because you clearly had an agreement from the very top, from the Attorney General, right, which was on the basis of a court decision being provided for the parties to meet, and they broke that. And that breach obviously is a shameful act, and the mere fact that as well what they did on May the 23rd in terms of breaking that building is also a shameful act for every single St. Lucian.
George Jr. vehemently denied that the agreement between the government and the trust gave allowances for one-sided decisions to be made. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzalez.
Leader of the opposition, Philip J. Pierre, is chiming in on the demolition of the old Royal Jail. He's adamant that the issue at hand is whether the current administration can be trusted, as they clearly violated an agreement with a third party who are custodians to the island's patrimony. Genevieve Gonzague reports.
The sudden demolition of the Royal Jail on Saturday has intensified the level of scrutiny being leveled at the government. Leader of the opposition, Philip J. Pierre, has indicated that such an injudicious move on the part of the government has simply brought to the fore the fact that they should not have been entrusted to governance.
The point is trust. When a government, when the Attorney General of a government can sign a document agreeing to a particular process, and this same government, without unilaterally just bridges the contract. That's the problem. The problem is not about whether the National Trust deals with that. The problem is trust. Can you trust that government? Can you trust that Prime Minister?
Pierre says the breach of contract on the part of the government shows that there was no genuine consultation among the Trust, Attorney General and the government.
The Attorney General is the highest decision-making officer in the legal apparatus of the country. When the Attorney General signs a document and the Prime Minister just puts that, that's important. The idea of the building is for another show. That's the trust. Our problem is the government. You cannot trust the government. The government cannot keep to its word. And if you can't trust the government, who else can trust the government? The biggest institution in the country, the Attorney General's office. You sign a document with the Attorney General, the DCA, and yourself. And you break that trust. That's the problem.
Pierre is adamant that these actions of the government have shown nothing but vindictiveness, and as such, they need to be removed in order for the needs of the people to be addressed. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
You're watching the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us. There's more coming up after the break.